Hey YouTube, how's it going? This is a Reckless Ben video. It just dropped. Okay, it's part 3, I believe, of the whole Bricks and Minifigs saga, scandal, whatever you want to call it. But I think this is pretty much the one. This is the one to cap it all off, right? This is probably going to be the last video. It's Bricks and Minifigs. It's just, in my opinion, they buried themselves. This video is basically called Bricks and Minifigs Tried to Get Me Arrested to Stop Me to Do This Video. Something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just get into it, shall we? I'm Dethfender. If you like this type of content, please like, comment, subscribe. If you hear any weird noises, it's my dog. She's playing. She's over here. No, she's probably going to be sleeping here in a second. I don't know. Whatever she wants to do, she can do. She's a dog, right? All right. Let's just see what's going on. Actually, really excited to watch this because I went through part 1, 2, police response video, the unredacted video, the CoffeeZilla investigation.
I'm about to go to court, and I don't even know what I did wrong. Yeah, Bricks and Minifigs is making up tons of lies about me to the police to try to get me thrown in jail so I can't release my documentary about them. But the crazy part is I'm not even allowed to know what they're saying I did. Legally, I'm not allowed to film inside court, so I formally requested the audio, but since there was no visual, I hired an animator to animate over it.
So I'm confused because this isn't going to be the video he originally was going to make about Bricks and Minifigs, or is this going to be about his court case? I don't know. Just keep going. Pretend like
right now, I kind of don't even know what I'm being charged for because all of the body cam footage has been redacted, and they say it's to protect the victims.
I love this. This is amazing. All right, I'm in the way. Okay, whatever. But I love the characters he's doing.
I think there are some redactions that maybe don't make sense and that weren't to protect the victims, and there's some things being said about me that are redacted I don't know about.
The way he's narrating this, he doesn't sound very assertive. Now, I think he does that in a way that he's trying to get people to feel either they have power over him or he's just another person that they can talk to about anything. Either way, he's got this very calm demeanor about him.
I do have some concerns in this case with the defendant representing himself. The allegations here relate to the fact...
Hey, baby. He's representing himself in court about this. God, there's so much going on. All right, baby. All right. Okay, girl. Okay. She really wants my attention as soon as I start doing this video.
He's a person he's a YouTuber, who creates videos, publishes them online.
Is that Josh's voice? Is that the judge? Is Judge Joshua in the room with us right now? Seriously, that's what this guy sounds like. Josh.
And if this defendant were to represent himself and we were to provide body cams and discovery, we would be now providing additional information and fodder for this defendant to create.
Oh yeah, he's creating fodder. He's just making up nonsense. Oh, I'm losing the plot with this. All right, let me go back a little bit. My dog was distracting me.
If this defendant were to represent himself and we were to provide body cams and discovery, we would be now providing additional information and fodder for this defendant to create videos from which he could profit by placing them on YouTube.
Oh, so this is basically saying that, oh, well, if we go to court like you normally would, even though he's defending himself, that he's just going to make content out of it. I mean, he is a content creator. That's what he does for a living, right? But it's become so much more than that with this case.
The expense of our victim. I have serious concerns for that.
Yeah, the state of Utah is claiming that if they tell me what I'm being accused of, then I'll use it for content on my YouTube channel.
Well, yeah, in a way he would, because that's what he does. But I mean, as far as I could see, he didn't like get paid to do anything for Brian. He just was told about it and he was like, well, let me see what I could do. I mean, anybody watches any of his content, he kind of realized what he's about.
And they can't have that. They're arguing to the judge that the best thing to do is to not let me know what's being said about me, which is very strange, but that's their argument. And just in case you haven't been following along with this whole Lego story.
Oh God, there's so much shit. Well, first of all, the redacted, then the unredacted, and then the unredacted by accident. I've seen so many different lawyers talk about it, you know, online and offline. This has become so much more than just Legos.
This is all happening because I stepped in to help a family who got their Lego collection stolen from a company called Bricks Minifigs. And for the last couple months, this company's been doing whatever they can to get me arrested so they can keep all the Legos for themselves. And this isn't even just me speculating. One of their own employees literally told us what their plan was.
I got a call from my boss, and it was like, how do we get them arrested? How do we
Dang.
get them arrested?
Okay, in a way, this is like a recap, but he's adding new stuff. The whole thing about Bricks and Minifigs, trying to just throw the book at him, right? Just whatever they can get. We kind of knew they were going to do that.
Minifigs found out that I'm not just some random kid. I'm actually a YouTuber making a documentary on the entire scandal.
Yeah, they can't have that.
Guy is named Reckless Ben. I don't want to be on YouTube.
Yeah, this is when things really started getting crazy. Bricks and Minifigs went into ultimate defense mode and was going to do whatever it takes to prevent this documentary from coming out. First, the police got a call saying I had heroin on me.
This officer is going to conduct the search of your person.
See, that was ridiculous. Like, they got a phone call from just a random person. Come on. They don't know anybody there. I tried to give the cops the benefit of the doubt, but after seeing everything that's going on and seeing other things with other people that had nothing to do with this case in the same area, the police there are overly, superly aggressive.
Substances in the vehicle.
And obviously, they found nothing. But then they got a call saying that I was the one that stole the Legos. And I got swatted by the entire police department.
Included in the warrant are Legos.
And we all got arrested.
I mean, it was to the point where it's like, we're going to SWAT these guys for Legos. We're going to go with AR-15. Looks like a bunch of 9mm. I'm surprised they didn't throw a flashbang in there. I've seen drug houses get swatted with less. I'm just saying. I mean, this is peak.
But right when I got out of jail, I got a warrant for my arrest for some mystery crime that I committed.
It seems like this guy might live in LA, or his last known address is in LA.
Yeah, the police showed up to my house all the way in Los Angeles to arrest me without bail.
He was like, just tell him he has a warrant for his arrest.
But the police couldn't arrest me.
Any idea where he actually is?
No idea.
In a way, it's good that he's recapping it. I hope he does touch on other things that are going on. I'm sure it's a long video, so I'm not going to try to go back or talk too much.
I was somewhere very far away.
Wait, it looked like he was still in LA. I don't know. All right, so we're back in court. This animation is top notch. It really is like chef's kiss, man.
But anyways, back to court. The judge is looking at signing a protective order to protect Josh and all of his statements about me. If this protective order gets signed, then I'll never be able to find out what he's claiming I did.
I got bad news. I don't think we have any more budget for animation, dude.
Oh, shoot. Oh, so how do we animate this next court scene? I guess if we have to not pay the lawyers, then I guess the animation's more important, right?
Yeah, we decided maybe the lawyers are actually more important. So, yeah, we ran out of animation budgets.
I'm going to say this. You definitely need your lawyer. I mean, I know he was trying to like show anybody can fight like a big corporation, but you really have to have legal representation once you get to court, because with a massive machine behind any corporation with lawyers and money, and they want to make him pay. They do. The CEO from Bricks and Minifigs, I'm getting off topic, but he is a complete moron. I'm not even going to say his name. Everybody knows his name. Him and his brother lying to CoffeeZilla, saying, oh, this, that, the other, trying to make up this story about the U-Haul and blah, 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 blah. And everything is just coming out of your mouth like, bro, we know you're lying. Just stop. We know you're lying. Yo, all right.
Sorry, guys.
The court's inclined to sign this pretrial protective order unless you have an objection to it, Mr. Schneider, and the objection to such an order.
Yes, I think there's a bunch of misunderstandings in this case. And so this person doesn't want to get exposed, so he's making up a lot of lies about me in order to get me arrested before he gets exposed. So that's what this whole thing's about.
Wait, he said this in court? He didn't have his own representation, and he's just telling the judge, like, hey, judge, I think they're lying and stuff. I mean, you got to just tell the judge, like, in a polite but very forward, assertive way, like, what is going on. Don't tell them what you think is going on. Just say, this is what I've experienced. This is what I seen, but don't go into detail. Don't add extra detail.
However, before I was allowed to show any of the overwhelming evidence I have to support my claims, the judge didn't care about the evidence and signed the protective order.
Yeah, see, the judge already shut him out. I've been in front of judges before, and it depends on what kind of judge you're in front of, especially if it's a local judge. They're just going to look at you. The judge probably didn't give a fuck. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Anyways.
Mr. Schneider, the court's going to sign this order and serve it upon you.
So the court has made it clear. They do not want to look at the evidence, and they want to protect Josh and Brandon for some reason. And now I have to somehow fight a court case against all of these mystery crimes against me that I have no clue what they're even saying I did. So this whole mess is happening in American Fork, Utah. But I'm also being charged with another case in Provo, Utah.
Oh, because of the headquarters. For some reason, I thought when they said Provo, I thought they were saying California.
Corporate Bricks and Minifigs is, which is why I'm also being charged here. And this police department has surprisingly actually followed the law when it comes to discovery, and they sent me all the raw body cam footage of what I'm being charged for. Let's start at the beginning, the moment I first met the CEO. The reason I'm talking to him right now is because before exposing this company for the grand theft they committed,
I noticed something right off the bat. The CEO goes outside where there's no cameras, so it looks like there's no cameras in the lobby. He probably knows this. And instead of having the person come into his office where there probably is a camera and it probably is mic'd because they do business, just in case, it seems a little fishy. Why would you walk all the way out there? Probably already know what I'm thinking.
Good faith to give them an opportunity to do the right thing first.
You really can't see
I make a
anything.
documentary about this.
You had like $200,000 worth of Legos in your guys' store.
See, because now he has to use his footage to fill in what was going on outside. Unless they do have footage and he just isn't allowed to show it at that point in time. That could be too. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Never happened.
Never happened. No.
But the CEO did not want to take the opportunity to do the right thing and instead instantly called the cops on us.
Hi there, I'm calling to report a crime. They themselves say...
You can hear him inside of the office area. He went outside knowing there's not going to be any mic, there's not going to be any camera that's controlled by him, okay? That they can take from him and say, oh, this is what really happened out there. He could say, Ben threatened me. He could say anything. He threatened my life. He threatened my safety, my family, and oh my God, it's a travesty. And then he walks inside and he's like, hey guys, listen, this guy came in here and yada yada, and you can clearly hear him. He made sure of it.
You guys stole this product from this person. If you don't give it back, I'm going to burn the place down. Or we're going to burn the place down.
He knew exactly where to go, and he's probably done this before. In my heart, I feel like this company, this CEO, maybe his brother, maybe his henchman, Josh, Brandon, maybe they've done this before with other franchise stores and with customers, consignments, layaways, who knows? I'm speculating, of course, is my opinion.
Or I'll kill you. It's Ben Snyder who's been the one engaged in this behavior.
You can see in the police report that the crime he wanted to get us charged for is called extortion.
Oh yeah, extortion. Hey, you have this guy Brian's Legos. You want to give them back? Otherwise, we're going to have to do it the hard way. It could mean a lot of things. It could mean we go to court, drag it out for years through the court. That is a hard way. Or, not harass, but do a workaround of some kind. And I'm not saying anything illegal. I'm just saying there's a lot of different ways you could look at it. Technically, Brian owned the shit. They should have just given everything back. But they didn't. They didn't do that. They were just like pricks. We already know this, so...
We're threatening him into paying us, which is...
Oh, he's saying, come in here and demanding product of ours or money. Probably didn't say anything about Brian. Probably didn't say, oh, we owed this guy money.
Very illegal. However, obviously he's just making all of this up. The reality
and to burn the place down.
is I just thought it was a nice gesture to give him the opportunity to do the right thing first.
If you guys do have our Legos, we just kind of want them back, you know?
But if there's one thing I've learned from this entire experience, it's that whoever ends up doing the morally right thing just ends up getting screwed over. So now it's time to play the way Bricks Minifigs is playing and use their own strategy against them.
The video when they got arrested, when you get in that room, you just say, listen, I'm not saying anything. You don't have to worry about them throwing you in jail or whatever, and they don't have anything on you. Don't say anything. Anything you say can be used against you. That's one of the first things they tell you. You have the right to remain silent. So stay silent.
Right now, their strategy is to get me arrested before I get them arrested. So now, I'm gonna Uno reverse this and get Ammon, the CEO, arrested before he gets me arrested. But if I'm gonna be the reason that someone's going to jail, I should probably make sure that they definitely deserve this. So, I'm gonna give them one more chance to try to do the right thing first.
What was I just looking at?
But instead of doing the right thing and attempting to work this out, Ammon just hid in his little office. And he called the police on me.
I can already tell you right now, no one's coming out to talk to you guys.
Really? But they told us that they were.
I know.
Normally I wouldn't want to get someone arrested, but we gave him every opportunity to talk to us, so at this point he's just arresting himself.
You can't look at it that way. If somebody feels they're being harassed, whether they are or not, the first person that called the cops, if you call and say, listen, I'm being harassed. Even though the police don't do anything at first, Bricks and Minifigs, they're the ones that already started that paper trail of calling the police. So they had a head start. They could come up with all this shit. So every time Ben was talking to any of the cops and over-explaining himself, what he's doing, he's wasting his own time and breath with Bricks and Minifig employees. He already gave a narrative. The police, especially in Utah, they're already like, yeah, this guy Ben, he's lying to us. The body cam footage that we saw, they were completely acting like these guys are guilty of something. We have to figure out what we can get them on. They didn't believe anything he said, and every time he tried to explain it, it's just in one ear, out the other.
The only difference between my strategy and Bricks and Minifigs' strategy is I don't have to lie to the police. Ammon McNeff actually committed a crime. I have tons of crimes on camera that Ammon McNeff has committed.
One good thing about this is that he has tons of stuff on camera. This is his Uno reverse strat. And the CoffeeZilla video. When Coffee's like, I'm looking at your franchise store's list of Brian's Legos. Guys, you have this. It's on your website. And this guy swore up and down he had no idea what Coffee's talking about. In fact, he started acting funny like, where are you seeing this? It's right on your website. You have this. You've had this. I don't have. Oh, well, I didn't know. We don't look in every nook and cranny. Dude, you knew.
Let's start at the beginning with crime number 1.
So what's going on?
So you guys are holding some of our Legos?
No, we're not.
You're not?
No. So who's
Brian Mansell.
Okay, and who's that?
Well, our lawyers. Anyway, who are you even talking about? Right there is so fishy and weird. Like, this guy is such a terrible liar. This guy right here. Such a terrible liar. He came from the office, came out, and in his head he probably thought of a game plan of what am I going to tell these guys? You know, they're only dumb kids. I can tell them whatever I want to. So he comes out. He's like, nope, nothing happened. But then he starts talking about lawyers, and it just comes out like a big word salad. Just rambling a bunch of shit about lawyers and this and that. And then it's almost like he's arguing with himself. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? No, what are you talking about? And then he just stops, and he's like, never happened. Nope. No, anyway, by the way, who are you talking about?
He's a guy who had he had like $200,000 worth of Legos in your guys' store.
Nope.
Oh.
Never happened.
Ammon was first trying to claim that he's never even heard of Brian Mansell, and this guy definitely never had any Legos in a Bricks Minifigs store. But once we showed him all of the social media posts his own company made, it was very obvious that we just caught him in a lie. So the CEO decided to change his story, and now the story is the Legos used to be in the store, but the previous owner, Crystal, she stole the Legos right before they took over the store.
Back up
We
the
don't
easy way.
have the Lego. Crystal sold the Lego.
The only problem is their security camera footage.
Okay, yeah, we saw the security footage, but that's good that he put new stuff in there. Because he had so much stuff packed in the first video. It seemed like it was more to get the word out, plus to make it entertaining. This is very straightforward. Like, after we got past the court case, he's showing, I don't even know the guy's name. Ammon? Let's just see.
Of the previous owner getting kicked out.
These are ones that he has not been paid his percentage yet. And if I don't have any tickets, I won't know how much I need to pay him.
That's a business thing and not necessarily yours. He's taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability.
Corporate just said that they're going to be the ones to take over the consignment deal with all the Legos that are still in the store. And as extra proof that these Lego sets were still in the store, the owner went into the back and started taking pictures of everything that you can verify in the metadata with the timestamps that match the exact moment she's getting kicked out. And then you can see her leave the store with nothing in her hands, proving that the sets were still in the store and the CEO is lying to us right now. But that's only one side of the story. I also thought it was fair to hear his side.
You sent a bunch of pictures of the Lego still in the back.
Now, there is one thing I want to say about the Gormans. She was acting fishy toward the end of CoffeeZilla's video when she was talking about layaways. You have consignments of a guy's product, and you put 900 pieces of that on these fishy-ass layaways, and you allowed people to put like $10 down instead of 10%. What I think she should have done is taken some of the money, at least half of the money that the product was going to be, gave it to Brian, and then once it got paid off, then gave him the rest of the percentage. Now, I'm just going to say my opinion. It seemed like she may have been pocketing some of that money because she's the only one that seemed to have any information on these layaways, and there's like 900 of them.
You can see in the security camera footage, corporate comes and throws her out.
Great, I understand what you're talking about, but you have a misunderstanding of what has occurred, and you're taking one person's word over another person's word. You need to go after the party that's responsible, and you don't want to because that's not easy. You have accepted a narrative that is not real, and you are continuing to pursue that narrative because it's easy, and it gives you views, and it gives you all sorts of clout, and does all sorts of things that way.
So basically what the CEO is trying to explain to me is we shouldn't be looking at the evidence.
Trust me, bro, she took it all, and you have a narrative in your head. You're just going to run with it for clicks and views and clout. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Really?
Instead, I should just be taking his word for it because he said so.
Crystal Law.
I thought her name was Crystal Gorman. Maybe I just made that up in my head. Okay, whatever.
Was a former franchisee of Bricks Minifigs.
Yeah.
She took Mr. Mansell's Lego, sold it, didn't pay him.
He just said he didn't even know who this guy was. Like, who are you talking about? And who is he? And now all of a sudden he knows whose Legos they are.
He has his money. But he sold his Lego. She has his money.
To make it easier for you guys to understand the CEO's argument, we're going to demonstrate his argument with a little skit.
Oh, that wasn't a backflip. No.
Oh, are you sure?
You have a misunderstanding of what happened.
Yes, this is the exact argument the CEO is trying to make. Something we just saw in video, the CEO is saying never happened, which would mean the CEO's lying. And most people would agree that lying is morally wrong. However, if you lie about a crime, the way Ammon's lying to me right now, then that's not just morally wrong anymore. That crosses into new territory called illegal. The specific crime is called obstruction. If someone commits this crime, they can get arrested. We're at the police station, and we're going to charge them with a criminal crime, obstructing of evidence of $200,000 theft. And good news for us, we found out last week that all of the police in Utah take obstruction very seriously here. The police arrested my friend Sheldon for obstruction just for locking his phone.
Right now you're attempting to destroy evidence.
These cops had no idea what they're doing. I mean, they did, but they didn't. Like, they didn't know shit about the law. They're just making things up on the spot. They're like, you're attempting to destroy evidence. You're coming up with random shit that had nothing to do with anything. Like they were talking about, well, is it civil? No. Is it a codes violation? No. And then with the phone thing, you're destroying evidence. Wait. Evidence of what? That he's going to make a Instagram photo of this poster that they made to make a GoFundMe, right? I mean, some of the shit, if you really think about it, it makes no sense.
Put your hands behind your back. I was just locking my phone.
You're under arrest for obstruction of evidence right now.
The crazy part is, the police didn't even have a warrant, so Sheldon locking his phone was 100% legal. But the police arrested him anyways because that's literally how serious the police take obstruction crimes here. They do not mess around.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. They really don't. I don't think it even matters. Obstruction or any other crime. They don't even know what they're talking about. These cops are standing around and basically talking about like, well, is it this? I don't know. And the other cop would say, well, I think it's this. No, I think it's this. They had to cook these things up in their mind and then make like headcanon and say, oh, that's what it is. Okay, that's what we're going to put down on a report. After action report is destroying evidence of our investigation into an Instagram photo. Of course, I'm being sarcastic.
So now, just imagine how angry the police are going to be when I go into the police station and tell them that someone is actually, for real this time, committing an obstruction crime. And this obstruction crime is on a much bigger scale. Later, the police called me saying that they were going to do a police investigation on this.
Hey, Benjamin, this is Officer Halperin from Provo Police.
I told the detective the entire situation.
He was saying that this family's Lego sets were never even in the store, like all of this stuff, and it's all documented. I have video of all of him saying this. I think he's like falsifying evidence, and I think that's obstruction.
And now that we stole Bricks and Minifigs' strategy, I think the plan is finally gonna work.
No, it's
Looks
not.
like the CEO is going down.
I mean, I submitted the videos of Ammon saying we're gonna burn down the building and shoot him.
The problem is they don't have footage from Bricks and Minifigs showing what Ben and Amage, the CEO, what they said outside. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen is they're going to say, we only have footage from your side, and then we have footage from inside, and it's a he said, she said situation.
They themselves say, hey, you guys stole this product from this person. If you don't give it back, I'm going to burn the place down. Or we're going to burn the place down. Or I'll kill you.
And then I submitted all the raw footage of the entire conversation I had with him, proving to the police that we never even said anything close to this. This raw footage verifies that everything I told the police is true, and everything Ammon told the police is a lie. On top of that, I even got access to the complete case Ammon made against me, and he doesn't have a single piece of evidence to support any of his claims. Which I guess makes sense. Like, how can you support evidence if you're just making everything up? Like, of course you can't submit anything.
So if the police have to decide what case to pursue, they're obviously going to pursue this case because it has like a ton of evidence. And then they're going to throw out Ammon's case that has no evidence at all.
The person you're trying to reach is not available.
Hello, my name is Ben Schneider. A couple months ago, I made a case and you were the officer that was helping me create it.
Yeah, I got a feeling that all this footage and everything, you know what? I'm just going to say it. You should have had a lawyer do that part. Even if you only had a lawyer for a couple hours and you're like, listen, I want to make a police report of some kind and I have footage. I need somebody to talk to the police officer on my behalf. I don't know if the lawyer would go and do that for him or if he could get a lawyer that would just say, I don't know. I'm just saying. I know the whole thing is ridiculous. This case is so flabbergasting to me because so many pieces that seem like they're missing from both sides. That's how ridiculous it is. I don't even know what to say about it.
I submitted a bunch of evidence through a link you sent me, and this was a couple months ago, and I haven't heard anything back. And so I'm just calling to see if I can get some type of update on how the case is going. It's about the CEO Ammon McNeff of Bricks and Minifigs in an obstruction case.
Police are slow with anything, but also Bricks and Minifigs had some big time lawyers. They probably went in there, swept right in, did any damage control that they could, when the mildly cock-blocked his little case that he's trying to put together. That's what it feels like.
So if you could give me a call back at your earliest convenience, that'd be awesome.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed.
Yeah, literally no matter what I tried, I could not get a hold of this police officer. So I'm traveling all the way back to Utah to go back to the Provo police station in person to see how the police investigation against Ammon is going. And I just so happened to get a hold of the police schedule and arrived at the exact time this officer was supposed to arrive. But before I could speak to this officer, one of the other police officers called into the front desk and asked to talk to me.
Really? They said he was going to be here today at 3 o'clock.
There's always the chance that they might have called out sick or something.
Is there any way that you can, like, check if he's here? Or?
This is a fucking shit show. It's giving me a headache. I don't understand. I get the point that Ben is trying to say that, oh, we have the footage and in our hearts we know that we are in the right. But there's something going on the other side that we're not seeing quite yet. That Bricks and Minifigs, with their high-priced lawyers at this moment, that Ben was going through all this shit.
He's definitely scheduled to be here. Like I said, they might have called out sick or something.
Are you able to look and see how the case is going? All I really want is kind of just an update on the case.
We're not going to show you shit.
That's not something that I can tell you over the phone.
Okay, you can't even just tell me, like, how it's going? Like, if he's still looking into it, or?
No, I can't. That's not something I can do.
See, at this point in time, a lawyer can do so much more for you. If you have a lawyer on retainer, I know it's expensive. You're to the point now where they're making things up and their fancy lawyers go in there and say, this is what's going on. They know what laws have been broken, that they claim that have been broken. That's why at this moment, it feels like Ben's getting screwed up.
Well, thank you.
Oh.
So basically, I came all the way out here to find
nothing.
0 answers. But eventually, I did find an answer. They sent it to me in the mail, and looks like I was right. The police only had time to take on one of our cases, and it was Ammon's, not mine.
Yeah, because he's got money. You know what? He's got money, he's got lawyers, he's got a corporation backing him up, and unfortunately, the elites that have money and power are going to be able to push the little guy down. We've seen this before. This is like David and Goliath. But the tides did turn. We'll just get there.
Yes, the case that had an overwhelming amount of evidence, they thought that case was garbage. And they took on the case that has 0 evidence at all. In the police body cam footage, after the police watched my full conversation, proving that I didn't threaten to burn the place down or literally anything, they even admitted to Ammon that there was no credibility with his entire case against me.
We agreed that there really was no extortion code that would fit your situation. However, at the end of the day, we do want to help you guys so you're not having to deal with this fool.
Did she say to help you guys deal with this fool? Did she just say that? Oh, we do want to help you with this case against this fool. Talk about not professional. The thing that Ben's doing wrong here is he's over-explaining, and they're not going to listen. They're police officers, even the investigators. I mean, the more information you give them, the more confused they get. Honestly. I'm just going to give one example. A friend of mine died. I found him, and the police asked me questions about it. Another cop asked me questions about it. So the investigator asked me questions. Every time they asked me questions, they wrote down what I said, but each one of them wrote down something a little different, and I had to keep telling them over and over and over. It'd get to the point where the less you tell them, just go to the point. This is what happened. Don't over-explain it, because they're police. When you get in front of a judge, you have the lawyer talk for you, because they know the laws, and that's the reason why we have the system we have.
We did find that there was another code that fit, and it's called aggravated commercial obstruction.
The police just told Ammon that even though there's absolutely nothing to his claim against me, if they work together, maybe they can fabricate some type of charge against me.
However, the tricky thing is that we have to prove that this individual either entered or remains unlawfully on the premise. When he came to the property, did you have to ask him more than once to leave?
Yes.
Okay.
We're not leaving until we get it. And he's like, no.
This is what I said. I didn't say the law that they're talking about, but I said the more he called, even though they told him, yeah, we're going to give you the stuff back, they used it as stalking. The more he showed up there and said, hey, Amanda, we're here to make peace and all that shit. They can use that against you. It's tough. It really is. But I'll give Ben credit. He didn't give no shit. He is just like, I'm going to power my way through this case. And I think it's working out for him.
So Ammon's telling the police that even though they continuously told us to leave, we didn't leave. But if we go back and look at the footage of what happened, this is the reality.
So when they say go to corporate, how do we respond next time?
I have no idea. You have to take it up with them. It's your thing with them. That doesn't involve us.
Okay.
As a separate business entity, you got to take it up with them.
I was talking about the store. That's what I thought he meant. They're talking about corporation, the CEO office, whatever you want to call it. Bricks and Minifigs main office. My bad. You know.
Okay, well, sweet, thank you.
Hey, you want to talk? They're on their way out. If you want me to grab them or not?
I don't know. It kind of looks like the reality of what happened is we left too early for them. They wanted to pull us back in to keep talking to us. But we did show back up a second time, and to Ammon's credit, about halfway through the conversation, he did say that if we don't leave, he's going to call the cops on us.
You can leave. If you come back here, we will call the cops. If you don't leave right now, I will call the cops.
So you don't want to do the easy way?
And this is right after I told him you could do it either the easy way and just give us the Legos back, or we can do it the hard way, implying that we would take him to court.
So you're threatening me.
I'm not threatening. We have a right to the Legos, so we're going to get them the easy way or the hard way.
What proof of ownership have you provided?
This is the part where this guy, the CEO, the schmuck. Now, when he told Coffee, okay, a consignment deal and paperwork is a good start. Dude, that's the whole thing. Photos, an agreement for the consignment deal is a good start. Well, what do you want him to give you? I mean, I don't get what this guy was even trying to say as far as that. It doesn't make any sense because it's like, that's a good start. That's the whole thing. Just because you swept in there and you said, oh, now it's a new franchise, so we own it all. It doesn't work that way because they took over the property of the store. Let's say everything in that store was under consignment. And they just said, you know what, we'll kick out the other owners. Doesn't matter for what reason. That's Bricks and Minifigs' business. It doesn't mean anything to the people that have product in that store. It's fucked up.
To me, that you own this license.
I mean, I can give you proof if you want.
Right, provide proof.
But right after he says this, he's now asking us to provide him proof that we actually are entitled to these Legos, so we can't leave now because he just told us to stay and provide proof. And then at the very end of the conversation, he says this one more time.
Okay, you've been asked to leave. Please leave.
We have to leave?
I see what Ben's saying. I hope you see what I'm saying. Even though Ben just kept going back, powering through it and trying all these crazy ideas and just persistent, okay? I think it started working for him.
Thank you for working with us, and so see you later.
He's even being nice on the way.
Well, we have now all just seen the video footage of what actually happened.
So crazy.
But now let's hear how Ammon describes it to the police.
Guys, at this point, I've asked you to leave. Please leave. Well, we you have to listen to us. You have to pay us this money. No, guys, you need to leave, and you're not leaving. But I asked multiple times, they did not leave.
Looks like that might be a second-degree felony. He's facing felony charges. It is a felony?
Yes, because I went to the corporate headquarters and tried to give Ammon the easy way out of all of this, they're now trying to get me on a second-degree felony, which I don't really know how any of this would make me get a second-degree felony. Like, what the heck, police officers? But they're doing it, and the punishment for this crime is 15 years in jail.
They're doing it because that's what they do. I'm not talking about the police, but I'm talking about Bricks and Minifigs have probably done this before with other people. They don't even act like they give a fuck. Like, Legos? It's so crazy that this CEO was running this company for as long as he has been, because it feels like his time is running long in the tooth.
I don't know, like however else, like some of that stuff comes through, but like the reality is like, we've tried to talk with him and said, we're willing to work with you.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons the police keep taking Ammon's side instead of ours, besides the whole Mormon thing, is that Ammon keeps framing the situation as he's just the helpful CEO who's trying to do the right thing and return Brian's property. And we're the ones that are preventing him from giving it back to Brian. So I say we rewatch the footage and see what actually happened.
We said we would be more than happy to help Mr. Mansell.
Yeah, because
and
Brian said
he was unwilling to work with us.
Well, Brian said he asked for the store inventory because he said he wanted to work with you, and then you guys didn't provide the store inventory.
He even said this at CoffeeZilla. He's like, we only had like $2,000 to $5,000. Later on, when he's literally shown, like, where'd you find that? Where was that? And it was even a month before they took over the store, so they damn well knew what was in that store.
Asked him to provide us with any documentation, and he provided us with a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is not something that anybody, you can just walk over to a McDonald's right now and say, all of your ice cream machines belong to me. Why? Because so-and-so said so. And I have a spreadsheet that says that all of these ice cream machines belong to me. That's not proof of ownership, that's not proof of anything.
No, he had a consignment deal with the previous franchise owner. This isn't the same as going to McDonald's and saying, oh, your ice creams are mine because somebody over here told me so. That is the dumbest analogy I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Spreadsheet Ammon's referring to wasn't just some mystery spreadsheet, it was the actual inventory the store made. But I guess Ammon's trying to claim that the previous owner stole the Legos and then lied on the inventory, and so now it basically makes this inventory invalid. He said that when corporate was taking over the store, that they actually did their own inventory, and this is the correct inventory.
Sure.
When we took over, we did an inventory.
And good news for me, he's willing to give me this inventory. He's actually always been willing to give it to me or Brian. All we've ever had to do was ask.
We will work with you to obtain any Lego that does exist.
Well, we did that, and you guys...
When?
I think, like 5 or 6 times, and we've gotten 0 response back.
Yeah, literally the first thing I did right when I heard about this entire situation was I Googled Bricks Minifigs, clicked on their website, clicked contact us, and sent them a message. I actually got a message back from corporate saying that they would love to help. After a few months, I kept trying to reply to this message, just completely ghosted me.
When?
I think we've done 6 over the last 4 or 5 months.
Pull it up. Find out. Tell me when.
Let's see. I said, hey, I don't think this ever got resolved. I'm just reaching back out right now. And then never.
Hit forward right now. Resend it.
What's the email?
That is I don't know what email address that is.
This was on your guys' website.
That says fbc.team. I said franchise@bricksandminifigs.com.
Well, this is just on the website, so.
Now he's coming up with moving the goalpost. You know what? Oh, you sent it to the wrong company. Well, it's on your website. But yeah, but it's not the right one. It's not the right place on the website. It's got to be this and blah, 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 blah. Dude, this guy annoys me. It's giving me a headache.
Did I tell you look up something on the website and send it there?
Well,
did I say that? Just barely.
Now he's acting like he was on the website. Like he was physically on the website telling people, if you have any issues, you have to go right here. This right here. You got to email us right here, right here, right here. Like his head pops up and there's a message that says, hey, I'm the CEO of Bricks Minifigs. You have to, right here, any issues with any of the stuff that you own in our store is right here. Email us there. Anything else, email down here. And anything else, email down. Get the fuck out of here. What is he even saying right now?
Well, that's what...
Yes or no? Did I say that?
No.
I just said, send me an email to franchise@bricksminifigs.com and we will work with that.
But you're getting mad at me because I emailed the email on the website?
You keep saying that you, like... So, I understand that, but
He doesn't understand that. He's getting mad because he knows he's wrong. And he's also getting annoyed, like, this guy, how dare he come here with a consignment deal that Brian made with one of our franchise stores? How dare they try to contact us through our email that is on our website? How dare he give us our information that we have with Brian's name on it saying it belongs to him? How dare you do all this stuff? You're making me look bad.
I'm telling you right now, and you're trying to argue on something that I didn't give you any information about. I'm telling you, send it to that one.
Yeah, but you're like getting upset at us that we emailed the email that was on your website.
No, I'm telling you the way to do this, and you've been probably trying to communicate with a ghost.
Well, that's your guys' fault for putting that email on the website.
Sure. Okay.
Ben, so why are you getting mad at us because we emailed the website
Because you
for your
continue
instructions.
to harass us for all sorts of things. I'm not getting mad at you.
Well, we're not harassing. We're just asking for our Legos back. If someone stole money from you and you went and politely asked for the money back, is that you harassing them?
It seems like
Look at
Ammon
this
kept
guy,
either
he's so
trying to
mad.
stall or
He's
switch the
so
subject. It almost seems like he doesn't want to actually give us this inventory. But he keeps saying he's willing to give it to us.
You guys can send that inventory list to us?
Fucking mad.
I do believe so, yes. I think we have sent that to Brian.
This guy, he is the king of gaslighting. He is like, I think we sent it to him. Yeah, and then, oh, by the way, that thing that you signed, she took all that stuff. We don't have it, but we have like $2,000 worth of your stuff. You take it or don't. That is bullshit.
He
You're
says he said that's all he
franchise.
wants is the inventory list, and he'll stop like bugging you guys.
Well, then, Mr. Mansell and you, and if you want to be included on the emails with Mr. Mansell, that's totally fine. You guys can email us, and we can go
But you
back.
guys will give him the inventory list? Because he said he's been asking for it for over a year now.
We can show the inventory list that was obtained when the store was originally taken over from Crystal Law, and we can work through that process and try and identify what
This
was
is
or
such
wasn't
bullshit.
there, and also try and identify how to proceed from there.
Yeah, I think Brian gets upset because he says they always say that they'll send me the list, kind of like how you're saying, oh, we can send it easily. But then when it comes down to it, you'll never actually send it. So maybe if you actually go ahead and send it, it would make him feel better.
Well, I understand what you're trying to get at. We're more than willing to work
He's
with
a
you and help you.
gaslighting
That's what I'm saying. Send an email
expert.
to that email address that I just gave you, and that will produce results.
Anyways, I sent an email to the email he told me about, not the one on their website. That's a bad email. Don't ever email that one or the CEO is going to be pissed. But according to Ammon, now that I've sent this email, I should be receiving the inventory list very soon.
I love that. Brick by brick. Don't ever send anything to this email that's on their site. Brick by brick. Brick by brick. This is better than I thought it would be.
So I waited all day.
Nothing. Not
I
a
got
thing.
no answer.
Of course.
So the next day, I
Oh,
sent
this
them
is
another
making me
email. I
mad.
patiently waited again for about a week. And finally,
This is the response. Mr. Schneider, BAM Franchising Incorporation will not participate in any form of communication that appears designed for public provocation, harassment, or manipulation of facts for the purpose of media content. Attempts to obtain privileged or confidential information through misrepresentation
Privileged.
or the creation of fraudulent documents. Just for me asking for this inventory list to prove their innocence, because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I want to be like, hey, if you're innocent, I want to prove that you're innocent with this inventory list. But now, by me trying to do that,
This is nonsensical bullshit. I can see why people have been pissed off. Like all the companies that worked with Bricks Minifigs have cut ties with them. If they have to deal with this shit to do any business with them, and I've heard people that were having issues similar to this, and the fact that they look over your stuff, they give you a really low number, and then they sell it for an extremely high number, which is normal, but they're kind of like the pawn shop of Legos. Unbelievable.
and considered harassment. And we reserve all rights to refer such behavior to appropriate legal authorities, aka the cops. So don't ask for our inventory list or else we're going to call the cops.
yes, Bricks and Minifigs has officially banned me from ever asking for this inventory list again. And I'm not the only one who's banned from asking for this list.
He promised
Brian.
us a full inventory
Yeah.
right away. We've
Yeah.
never received it.
And every time it's been just absolutely nothing. So we've never gotten an inventory list.
Yeah, the previous owner who got her entire store stolen from her by corporate, I mean, she's legally required to get sent an inventory list, and even she, 2 years later, has not gotten it.
I don't know. There's something fishy with her with those layaways. I don't think she was stealing from her customers or Brian per se, but I think when she was doing those layaways, it's possible, like the other stores, buy small, sell big. Maybe she overcharged with the layaways, a percent or whatever, and then said that she was going to pay Brian once they're paid off, and then that's the reason why they had a bunch of different lists. I'm not going to defend Bricks and Minifigs because they were obviously not going to give them any help at all.
It would have resolved everything because they would have had to identify everything in the store, and it would have identified all of Brian's stuff, and they never provided it, so we couldn't then demand the third-party evaluation.
And it's now, what, a year and a half later?
You know, who knows what.
Still no inventory.
Dang.
So, would have solved a lot of problems a year and a half ago to go, here's the inventory.
Brian still hasn't received this inventory list yet.
I've never received a record of sales because they can't provide it.
You know what? It seems like they moved a lot of that stuff with that U-Haul that didn't exist and the other U-Haul that they used for a trailer to go back and forth and all this shit that never happened. Obviously, they went there, they got the stuff. It's possible they did have a trailer and they put all the stuff from the U-Haul on the trailer, left the trailer at the other store, brought the U-Haul back so that that guy that said that he was unloading the truck may have been unloading it onto a trailer from the trailer into the store to cover their tracks. That's what I'm thinking. Because they didn't show a receipt for a trailer, just a U-Haul. So they could have easily, within that time frame, rented it out, went to the store, loaded it up real quick, went to the other place, had a trailer, had everybody load it out onto a trailer, and then said he slept there when he really probably slept in his car or God only knows what. I'm obviously just assuming a lot of shit, but at this point in time, who knows? This company is mega corrupt.
And the worst part about all of this is it seems like the CEO is pretty much just trying to rub all of this in everyone's face. When I turned on the news, I saw
I've
this.
seen this.
Now, as far as offering Brian the inventory, have you gone through the store, figured out what?
This interviewer did a great job by pushing this putz because this guy, he did not want to answer a fucking question. He did not want to answer anything. And then when he did answer, it was just rambling. That's all it was.
Was part of his collection taken inventory and shown him that inventory to offer that?
We've tried to share those with Mr. Mansell in hopes that he can see that we were not attempting in any way, shape, or form to withhold anything. Those then were offered to him, and the initial offer was rejected.
So now on public television, Ammon, the CEO, is telling the world that he tried to give us this inventory, but we're the ones that didn't want it.
We do want to help him recover as much of the collection. Our number one priority right now is to ensure that he gets made whole. We know that we have a responsibility to work with him.
Yeah, he never says, well, the amount that Brian says is this much, and the amount that we found is this much lower. He just says, oh, we've been looking and we're trying to find out, and we have all these different lists of things and blah, 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 and we don't have an agreement, and the other store owner took all this stuff. But whatever's left in the store, which was only like $5,000, then it was 13 grand at the most, and then 10 grand, and then this guy, he's got a punchable face.
So you've offered Brian the inventory of sets that was in the store?
Yeah, whatever was left over.
Whatever was left over, meaning that's so vague, that could mean anything.
We've offered that on multiple occasions. So we've tried to make multiple offers, and hopefully we'll be able to get them to the table so we can discuss it.
And this is pretty much Ammon's game plan now. Go on as many news stations as you can and lie.
The entire time we were saying, hey, we want to help.
The main narrative now seems to be Bricks Minifigs has always been trying to give Brian his Legos back.
Yeah, hearts and minds, right? They want to make themselves look like the good guys. Yeah, we're trying. You know, we want to help Brian out. We're all about Lego, and we're all about the people that come to our store. We're so helpful. But on the other side of it, they're calling up the police and saying, this reckless Ben guy, he's trying to burn our store down. He's trying to get money from us. But on the other hand, there's a couple of things that made it more difficult for Ben, his own doing, by trying to strong arm his way for things to work out. I understand that he has a certain way of doing things. He's reckless Ben, and it's entertaining. It's tough. They were just going to continue to call the police and say, hey, he did this, he did that, he did this, and then just make shit up on the fly. It's unfortunate. I hope that Brian gets all of his shit and then some.
But Brian just never wanted them back.
Would you be willing to just take this? And the answer was no. It was attempted to be given to the family, and it was refused.
When he said, "Are you willing to just take this?" He said it like that. Are you willing to just take this? That sounds like somebody that is trying to give a lesser deal. Like, I know you're owed like this much, but we have this much for you. Would you be willing to take this just to shut up? No. Okay, well, we will go and do a bunch of talk shows and ramble.
And that offer was not accepted at the time.
Well, that's Ammon's side of the story, but I say let's take a look at what actually happened.
Read from the bottom up. That is our correspondence with Bricks Minifigs, trying to work with them and getting the sets back.
So right when this happened, Brian hired an attorney to reach out to Bricks and Minifigs. They sent an email saying, how should we proceed to retake the possession of the sets/minifigures? And they actually emailed back saying they were willing to help. And then after this, they just never respond. So Brian's attorney sent them another email.
Okay, so Brian did have an attorney, but it seemed like when they're like, oh yeah, we're willing to help you out, willing to help themselves out, and then be like, well, you know what, there really wasn't anything there. And by the way, she took them all. Oh, and also your agreement with her isn't really something that we are going to accept because it's not valid, right? I mean, you know, it is what it is. Live with it.
When can we pick up the sets? And they still didn't respond.
Of course not.
So the attorneys emailed back saying, it's now been 16 days. How can we get these Legos back? Finally, they received a response.
We can.
It says Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson have no legal obligation to return any of the Lego product that exists in their store to you. What? So yeah, basically they're saying that they're the ones that are not able to work with you, is what it seems like.
Exactly.
That's crazy because, see, this is what happens. This is, in my mind, this is the way I'm thinking about it. The people that call the police first usually get results first and quickest because they're the ones that have been calling, denying that they have a certain amount. All this consignment shit the other person took, right? There is no list. It's only a few things. We're not going to give them to you because we keep trying to give them to you. But the point is like the person that calls first is going to get the most out of the police and even a judge in the beginning. But the more you go in front of a judge and the other side has more and more paperwork about the consignment deal, footage about, you know, what people behind the scenes are really doing. And as the case progresses and it progresses in a bigger court that has no tie to the local Mormon community or anybody in the area, there's going to be less bias and the more will get done. But it's going to take longer. It's going to be a while. But I think Ben is setting it up perfectly to show all the little nails, okay, that are popping the holes in the balloon of this stupid case that Bricks and Minifigs. My analogies suck. But yeah.
Email saying, we consider this matter closed and will not be returning any Lego products to you. So as you can see, that's the reality of what actually happened. But then Ammon goes on Fox News and says this.
So they actually did have an attorney send information to us. We said, great, appreciate this. Let's see what we can do to work this out. Yeah. And then we never heard back.
So why is Ammon going on like Fox News then and saying,
this is what I mean. So all these little things that Ammon, whatever his name is, McNeff, saying, yeah, they didn't get back to us. It was the other way around. So the more this gets in front of a judge and the more that they see this, because this is what's happening. The court of public opinion has already nailed Bricks and Minifigs. Now I think the court is finally catching up. Ben is really good at storytelling and showing like the part that annoys you the most, right? And we're about almost 3/4 of the way through and we're starting to see the other side of it and what is probably going to happen in court because the courts are probably seeing this side of it now.
We wanted to give Brian his stuff back. He's the one that didn't want his stuff back. He didn't want any of his things.
That's my point. I don't know. He's lying.
I truly do believe in integrity. Truly, I believe I believe in the sentiment of integrity, and I believe everyone should have integrity.
But anyways, another thing the CEO seems to be pretty upset about is that when Brian kept demanding his stuff back and couldn't get it back, eventually he had enough. and he was like, I'm gonna make a Facebook post about this. And in his Facebook post, he called Bricks and Minifigs thieves and liars. And this Facebook post, like, really pissed off Ammon. I mean, Bricks and Minifigs is literally suing Brian now for millions of dollars, all because of this. I mean, back when I was talking to him,
the messed up thing is that Facebook only had like 25 likes or something like that. So I think it's more of a pride thing. This guy has a lot of pride, but he's an imbecile.
Corporate headquarters, he made it very clear that what they did is technically not actually considered theft.
There is no theft. Do you understand the legal definition of theft? Legally have to meet
So
the definition of knowing that the property was stolen or otherwise not belonging to that person.
And on my phone,
that was not known until Mr. Mansell came in days later and said, I have some of these things that need to be...
And that's another lie again, because...
It is not another lie.
So I showed Ammon the security...
That is a lie. If the guy came in and he's like, hey, I had a consignment deal with your previous store owner. You see it right here as my name, my family name, and that we still own these until they're sold. And then even when they're sold, we get a percentage, and this is how much the percentage is, and this is how much the set was worth according to your freaking site. And that's what CoffeeZilla pulled up. You had this a month before you guys went there because it was in September, and they went there to kick her out in October. Fuck this guy.
Camera footage where corporate
guys
acknowledges that they are now going to be responsible for these Lego Star Wars sets.
That too.
These are ones he has not been paid his
And
percentage
this
yet.
too. Oh,
And
yeah,
if I
I'm in the
don't
way
have
again.
the tickets, I won't know how much I need to pay him.
That's a business thing and not necessarily yours. He's taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability.
And after showing him this footage to try to bring the conversation back to reality, this was his response.
Now extortion?
Because we caught you guys?
No, because you are attempting to extort us, so...
That's not extortion. That's showing you, listen, you guys said it right there, right? He's acting like that was AI. Like, you know damn well it wasn't AI. It was one of your guys saying, well, listen, Crystal, you don't have to worry about that anymore because you're not going to be part of the store. We'll take care of that. All the consignments, we'll take care of. All the layaways, we'll take care of. Anything to do with the store, we'll take care of. Well, they didn't take care of it, and he knows it, and that's the reason why he called the police. He looks scared right here.
What you are doing right now is illegal. It's an extortion.
So catching you guys in illegal activity, that's illegal on me.
Nope. We have done nothing.
See, I agree too. I agree. Nope, it's not illegal on us. Thank you for...
Nothing illegal, and you are doing something illegal right now.
This guy's so full of shit.
I don't think it's illegal. I think us catching you guys for doing the illegal thing doesn't make that what we're doing is illegal. That means what you guys are doing.
See, when Ben does this type of stuff, like when he talked to the police, oh yeah, this guy, blah, 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 and like 20 minutes later, it was like, is that all? And then when he explained it again, they're like, okay, we got it. Even though they didn't listen to a word. This guy's not listening to him right now. He's just trying to like get rid of Ben. And then he's going to call the police like a little bitch and then
it's illegal.
Complain. And this is where he's like, you got to get out of here. He's calling his boyfriend.
Okay, you've been asked to leave. Please.
Yep, see? He's calling the cops right there. Yeah, you got to leave because I'm going to call the cops.
Thank you for working with us. And
yeah, thank you for working
After
with
just
us.
going around in circles for probably 30 to 40 minutes and just having like kind of less than genuine questions or less than genuine responses being given to me, I was exasperated by the end of it. And that's, you know, like when people get tired.
This guy was angry from the moment that Ben mentioned certain aspects. Okay, the list. He got angry with that. Okay, with showing him the agreement. He got angry with that. Showing him the security footage. He got angry with that. Talking about anything to do with Brian's collection. He got angry with that. First, he tried denying it. And then all of a sudden, he magically knew. Oh, Brian. Yeah, Brian Mansell. Yeah, we tried to fix that. Blah, 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 blah.
That's when like, we finally got the footage that we can use to make him look like a completely unreasonable monster, you know. But that's what they do is you know.
That's what they do. Tell me you don't know anything about YouTube without telling me you don't know anything about YouTube. That's not how YouTube works, okay? The main thing is, like, this guy's just, like, trying to make it out to be like, He said the most ridiculous things to me, and it didn't make any sense. And he was just making shit up and trying to extort us and trying to harass us just to get footage. Dude, you are so idiotic. You're such an imbecile. You look like a cartoon villain right now, the way you're speaking, and you make yourself into content. Somebody could follow this guy around and make content out of him because he's such an imbecile.
People whose goal is to do those types of things, they just harass and go after
You would
people
know.
as long and hard as they
This is
can
projection.
until somebody breaks and says something that
This is projection right here. I bet that this guy, his brother, and other people at this company have done this before or something similar.
then they can, use that one clip to be like, oh, look at this horrible monster of a person. So that's what I feel like has kind of really happened here.
So Ammon's claiming that I just harassed him for 30 minutes and finally he got fed up with us, which that was the one clip at the end that I used in my documentary. So I say let's go to the very beginning of the footage, my first interaction with them, and see what actually happened.
So what's going on?
So you guys are holding some of our Legos?
No, we're not.
You're not?
No.
Yeah, literally from the very first sentence we ever exchanged with each other, Ammon's goal was just to lie to us. But anyways, I'm now starting to think that the only reason Ammon wanted us to email him about the inventory list wasn't actually give us the inventory list, but actually it was a trap.
Of course it was.
Ammon only wanted me to email him so he can find out my email and subpoena Google and find out all of my private information.
Okay, Ben, you're a much bigger YouTuber than I am. What you do is you get a domain, you make an alias email that doesn't show your email, okay? So when you give it to a guy like this guy, when he contacts you back, it doesn't have any of your information. And you do it with end-to-end encryption.
And you think I'm lying, but they actually did this. They
course they
subpoenaed
did.
Google asking for all private information tied to this email address. And Google sent them like hundreds of hours of all the raw footage from
wow.
everything I've filmed to the Lego video so far.
Dude, that's beyond ridiculous. Oh my God, I don't even know how to say it. Google, man. What the hell?
All my emails, all my search history, all the metadata that shows everywhere I've been. But anyways, this was the reaction of the police officer after she watched my entire first episode.
I'm really curious to see, like, if this fool even makes any money doing this YouTube stuff. I'm like, if it's enough for him to travel to another state just to go get some footage, from my understanding.
No, so it sounds like you were able to watch the video.
I think by secret information, the police officer is referring to the security camera footage that proves that everything Bricks and Minifigs is saying is a lie. My first question is, how could this not be credible? It's literally just video evidence of what happened that night. But at least now I can see why the police aren't listening to me. They're basically just saying that all of the evidence I submit to them is not credible and therefore case closed. Ben's wrong and we're right, because we said that the evidence is uncredible.
Well, there's more to it than that. The company, they took their side because they called the police first. And they said, this guy's harassing us and he's a YouTuber, and they made up all this bullshit. What Bricks and Minifigs was doing is they were getting as much information from Ben, his team, Brian, anybody else that was involved, said, oh, these guys are harassing us. They're trying to make us look bad. And then it got to the point where they were like, well, this isn't really working like we wanted it to. So they started saying like, oh, they're going to try to burn our place down if we don't give them money, that type of shit. And that's the reason why they gather evidence. And then when it goes to court, that's the reason why you have a lawyer, a judge, and jury, to get all that shit straightened out. You get what I'm saying? I just lost my train of thought. I'm just rambling.
At this point, Bricks and Minifigs is working with the police to just come up with whatever story they can to make any evidence I give them seem as uncredible as possible.
In all of his actions to just generate clicks and likes.
We knew that.
Get, like social media clout without putting in work and just doing the
See, we knew that. Like, we could tell that. Everybody that was watching it, there's a reason why we thought it was so crazy. The police were going above and beyond to, like, harass these people. But also, everybody knew what Bricks and Minifigs was doing behind the scenes. Once all that unredacted footage came out, you could see how Josh Johnson was literally like, hey, follow that car. Hey, go make sure that they get stopped, and ordering them around like they're a security firm of some kind. Now, these cops over here are taking his word for it. It feels like forever because they're getting the runaround. This part of it is only going to last for so long because eventually Ben gets in front of the right judge, looks over the information. He or she will be like, hey, we got all this information here. Where's your information? Oh, you don't have any? It's just phone calls and empty promises?
He seems like a fun gentleman.
No. Well, and, you know...
His MO really seems to follow somebody who's like a paper tiger, right? Or like a keyboard warrior. They'll make threats.
He is projecting hard. This guy is the type of guy that if you jumped in front of him just to scare him and go boo, he'd be like, oh, don't hurt me. I'll give you anything you want. And then turn around and call the cops.
And this is the craziest part of the video to me. Ammon's claiming that I'm a keyboard warrior. And a keyboard warrior is basically just someone who talks a lot of smack online, but then when it actually comes down to it, they won't do anything in person. Which, I mean, if we look back at the footage, I accomplished almost every...
Ben literally strong-arm, brute forced his way into this. And he just kept going with it. He was like, you know what? I started it that way. I'm going to continue to go that way. But with these first two videos that he made, he just was like, I'm going to go there physically and take care of this. Even though he didn't have to, we could have got a sheriff to subpoena the idiots, the papers to go to court.
Everything I set out to do, I didn't get scared of anything. If someone in this story is a keyboard warrior, I don't think it's me. I think it's Bricks and Minifigs.
Yes.
I mean, let's double check by looking at the footage. Ammon claims with his words that he can give us the inventory list.
We can show the inventory list.
But when it actually comes down to it, he's
There is
terrified
no
to give it to
inventory
anyone.
list.
Bricks and Minifigs this entire time has also just been begging me to sue them.
You can sue me. You can sue me. You can sue me.
So when I finally go out and actually sue them, they close down their store. And now Bricks and Minifigs...
Josh, he was so afraid. And he's just like, oh my God, I'm being threatened by this little twig dude that hasn't got a weapon, nothing. He doesn't even seem harmful. Like, literally, Ben was so nice to all the police. And he's like, how you doing? Even though he was annoyed that they kept coming, Josh was just... I'm so afraid, guys. And you could tell he was acting because he was even laughing. Like, I can't believe that he can just lie to you and all this bullshit.
At extreme lengths to hide from this lawsuit.
Are you okay if she just gives you the papers so we can just...
It's fake.
No, I'm not accepting
It's fake. It's fake.
Absolutely not.
I mean, Bricks and Minifigs is showing all of the signs of a keyboard warrior, but for some reason they think that I'm the keyboard warrior. At this point, it almost seems like everything Bricks and Minifigs is doing, for some reason they think that I'm the one that's the one doing it.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you guys. Hopefully, no.
The cop, in a way, she has been saying some interesting things. Like, I think she said fool in that one part. She's not as ridiculous as the cops in American Fork. Like, those cops were like, okay, well, we got the book of laws here, and we're going to go through each one of them and throw every one of them at the wall and see which one sticks.
More issues. There's so many other things that this guy could, like, be talking about, right?
No, 100%. But sometimes, you know, like, it's a sunk cost fallacy. They just think, oh, I put so much time and effort into this, I gotta make sure something happens. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, Ammon just completely proved my point. Obviously, I'm not suffering from the sunk cost fallacy at all. Ammon's the one suffering from the sunk cost fallacy. I mean, they literally already admitted to me that they've held onto the Legos for so long, it's not worth it for them to give it back to us anymore.
I'm not going to distribute those things at this point, so...
Let's see what else Bricks and Minifigs is accusing me of. Well, they're suing me for defamation.
Oh, yeah.
But this entire time, Bricks and Minifigs is actually the ones defaming me.
They need to pay. You guys stole this product from this person. You don't give it back, I'm going to burn the place down.
Yeah, literally extorting Ben by saying, you're the one who stole them. He wasn't even around, but you're the one. Just shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. This Bricks and Minifigs, they give me a headache. Some of the shit that comes out of their mouth, I can't even believe it. So much stupidity, like running that company into the ground.
If I don't let them steal the Legos from us, they're gonna make up a reason to throw me in jail.
You stole them, bitch.
I stole the Legos?
Yeah, you're a fucking thief.
Dang.
Okay.
Shut up.
Bricks Minifigs is also getting me for RICO charges.
I know this guy. I can't think of his name, but he's one of the lawyers that was talking about the RICO charge. Also, Legal Blights was another one. But Legal Blights was saying how the RICO charge probably isn't going to stick. I heard that probably won't. And when they talked about that, it was a big deal, even though I don't think that Ben realized how big it could have been if they did get it.
RICO. I think it is more likely that the police are guilty of RICO, right?
And if you look at the CEO's previous businesses, he actually got sued for RICO. He's the one guilty of RICO, not me.
He stopped on that one lawyer. She doesn't do legal practice now, used to, but she knows the laws. And now she's more of an investigative journalist. And she really looked at what was going on with Bricks and Minifigs, and that's some of the information I got. She's got a couple different channels. BJ, That Surprise Witness. She's really good.
They're also accusing me of sending a sniper to shoot out the windows of the McNeff house.
You guys want to come to, you can see the window and see where they were shooting from. It could be a sniper blade on the hill.
When the police got there, they realized it was actually a construction worker who accidentally shattered the window.
It seems more likely that it happened from construction work than it happened from some random people across the way.
But even after all this, they still go online and say it was me.
He's trying to get Ben Schneider for like attempted murder. He's basically trying to set Ben Schneider up for attempted murder when meanwhile it was a nail from his own construction worker.
So what's the moral of the story here? It looks like everything bad Bricks and Minifigs is doing, they think that I'm the one that's doing the bad thing. It makes no sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that I didn't realize. To say that Bricks and Minifigs for a Lego company has gone above and beyond, just doing the most, right? For nothing. I mean, it is so stupid. And their agenda doesn't make any sense even. They would have been better off just saying, oh, Brian, you had $200,000 worth of Legos. Here's 200 grand. Oh, and by the way, just because we want to make sure that you didn't have a bad experience with us, here's another 100 grand. They make like $400 million. Well, they used to. Now the CEO and his brother are running the company into the ground, which is kind of good to see. But now that they've done all this shit.
So, just to let you know, we call it a double blind. The person who committed the crime may or may not be in the lineup or depicted. So I will give this to you. You'll have as much time as you need to choose someone or to not choose anyone. Whenever you're able to feel that you have the lead somebody, I just ask that you circle it and then initial next to it.
And then, like that?
Perfect.
Okay. There you go. Okay.
Cool.
Really, this was like the final step that I needed. This is legit. We've been able to verify who he is now.
Yep.
So the police put on this big performance to make it look like they're going to all this work to verify the facts. When in reality, they already know who I am. They already subpoenaed Google. They already watched my entire first Lego video. They already went through all my search history. To me, this just feels like a staged performance so they can show the world, hey, look, we verified everything, when if they would have just put an equal amount of effort into watching the raw footage I submitted to them, they would have found out that Ammon's just completely lying to them, but for some reason they didn't. A few weeks later, when I ended up going to court, this was the staged response.
My name is Nick Mielstein. I'm the prosecutor. Is Benjamin Schneider here?
Yes.
If you want to take care of that today, we can do what we call a plea in abeyance.
Were you able to see the footage I submitted to the police of our interaction?
I have not watched it, no.
Okay, because in that...
See, the judge isn't going to listen to him, just like the cops didn't. They already have this thought in their mind that, you know, this guy's been calling them nonstop. This guy has been harassing them. This guy's been trying to get money from them. He's doing threats. I think when the tides really turned is when Ben got a lawyer and they moved. I think they went to California and it's now going to a federal judge. That's when things started to change.
Footage, you can clearly see that the second he tells us to leave, where we say, okay, we'll leave. And then he calls the police and said that we threatened to burn down the building and shoot everyone inside. And he was just making up all these lies, which you can clearly see in the footage that we submitted. We were being respectful the whole time. We left the second he told us to. So it makes sense why the police would take me to court. We did nothing. I'm a documentary maker, so I'm making a documentary on the thing. So his logic is if he makes up a reason for me to go to jail, then I won't be able to expose them for their crimes.
See, this is better than what he was saying before, but still, the judge is probably on the fence right here.
If you watch it, it seems like they're just making up a bunch of false information in order to silence criticism.
What he should have said is they are making up a bunch of stuff to falsely incriminate me, and instead of saying it seems like.
So did you submit that to the police officer?
Yes.
Is the footage going such that it's still going like when you step out the door?
It starts from when we're in the elevator before we talk to him to when we were back in the elevator going back down.
Obviously, a video doesn't necessarily show everything that possibly happened.
So according to the state of Utah, the raw video...
Well, that's the other thing too, because they're going by what Bam's office had. That's the reason why he went outside to talk to them, because he knew that the only footage that they would have would be Ben's footage, not Bam's footage and not their audio. If they would have had both and they matched up, that's the reason why he didn't stay in the office. That's the reason why he didn't let them come in, is because then they would have been able to say, hey, we matched up both your footage and their footage, and you're saying one thing and he's saying something else. There's more to this.
That shows everything that possibly could have happened is not credible and could not have shown everything that possibly could have happened. They're literally just taking Ammon's word for everything and completely ignoring all the evidence. So where does this leave me now? Not only am I being charged with a bunch of mystery crimes in American Fork, Utah, but I'm also being charged with a second-degree felony up to 15 years in jail in Provo, Utah. And now that they have written proof that I'm committing all of these insane crimes against them, I mean, obviously Bricks and Minifigs just made up everything.
Okay, they called all those times, and every time they called, the police make a paper trail, okay? The time, the date, you know, who's involved, all that shit. The police, they're like, we don't do anything right off, but the more you call, the better it is for you when you go to court. And that's what Neff, Best, and Joshua did, is they just kept calling and calling, making up things, being extra. So when they get in front of a judge, you know, the judge is going to be like, you know what, we're not even going to take Ben's side because we've already heard so much that it's not supposed to be that way. But unfortunately, that happens a lot more than you would think.
Everything, but that's not how the court sees it. The court thinks that these are real, and for whatever reason, the court wouldn't let me share my side. They only heard Bricks and Minifigs' side.
Ben's side was not in the room, was not heard. The court signed an order.
This guy is amazing. I watched his videos on this, not this video in particular, but some of Ben's older videos. After I reacted to the first one, and then after I reacted to the second video, I watched a few of his videos and I was like, wow, this guy is amazing, articulate. He's very thorough, and he also puts it in layman's terms, which I'm not a lawyer, right?
Erasing his published work on the strength of the company's verified complaint and the company's motion with no one there to say a word against it.
Yeah, the judge granted a temporary restraining order preventing...
This is where it's going to turn around, because now we're caught up to where Ben had his last video with his last statement. I think then they did a change of venue.
Me from even talking about Bricks and Minifigs, which sucks because this was the night I hit 1 million subscribers, and all my friends threw a giant surprise party for me.
Oh, that's nice of them. Nice of them. Yeah, he looks really happy. Looks really happy, poor guy. It gets worse before it gets better, buddy.
Bricks and Minifigs gets to just keep spreading their lies about me, and I just have to sit in silence, and there's nothing I can do to stop them. It's crazy to think about how much public support I was getting.
$200,000 Lego dispute that's turning into one of the craziest legal cases, and an internet crusade that is just exploding. A $200,000 Lego collection. This $200,000.
I think one of the things that really helped his case out was when Coffee did that investigation and showed more behind the scenes stuff. Because what happened is Ben was silenced and everybody else was like, we're going to take it upon ourselves to push it out there. Even though I'm a nobody. That's the reason why I did it, is because I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of viewers, but I was like, you know what? This guy is getting fucked over. And when Coffee did his great investigation, even though he couldn't subpoena more information, he was able to dig up enough. And that whole U-Haul story was really...
Lego scandal is literally one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
I think this might be the best video that I've seen. This is one of the...
Asmongold and Charlie also were instrumental in pushing it out there, and everybody else. Plus, it was everywhere at that point in time. By the time I got any of my reactions out there, I mean, all the bigwigs, the YouTube gods, and the big streamers out there, they all already, did multiple videos on it.
Crazier stories I think I've ever covered.
Run by Mormons. Reckless Ben.
Seeing Ludwig and Oompaville.
It really seemed like the entire internet was uniting to stand up to this bully of a company.
Bricks and Minifigs can stuff.
This was a turning point. This is when I made a Patreon. I haven't done much with it, but I made one.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick. Brick by brick.
Atozi, he's another one that was like, you know what? Atozi's always involved in things like this.
It really did seem like we were right about to get the Legos back, but I was wrong. Now the court has silenced me. It's like all the work I put into this was just for nothing.
No, there's more to this story.
People were pretty upset that I was silenced and decided to protest.
Brick by brick.
It sucks that I'm not even allowed to be a part of this movement anymore.
Brick by brick.
Or maybe I can be here. I just have to be in disguise so no one recognizes me.
Are you Reckless Ben?
Alright, I'm here with, what was your name?
I'm Jerome.
I'm Jerome.
Support the cause. It's the American Fork Local. Here's support.
American Fork
Here with Jerome.
I spent the rest of the day protesting for the cause, and not a single person here recognized who I actually am.
Bullshit.
It looks like I don't need this disguise anymore because I have my freedom of speech back, baby. I can say whatever I want. I can say Bricks and Minifigs sucks.
And they do. I hope he talks about what's really going on now, because now we're caught up, right? And we've seen all the depressing shit and all the things that Bricks Minifigs did to him.
And now that I have my freedom of speech back, everyone is wondering how Bricks and Minifigs can make up for the fact that they made up all these lies about me to take away my freedom of speech. Most legal experts are saying I could easily win millions of dollars from Bricks and Minifigs, but instead, I have a better solution.
If they want to apologize, they can say that they're sorry by doing the chicken dance. And I will take that as a sincere form of apology. And once they do the chicken dance, then I will know that Bricks and Minifigs is sorry. And we can finally move on to the next video series.
The chicken dance? Come on, bro. Just get those millions. Destroy this company. I know, I'm going to say it. They didn't watch any of his content because Reckless Ben seems like he's very forgiving. Even though they're trying to screw him over and take away his freedom of speech, and he's like, they can do the chicken dance. If I was him, I would nail this company. Of course, they had to GoFundMe, so I think Brian's going to be made whole. I think what he was going to do is he was going to pay Brian his $200K and use the rest for his own legal fund.
So you guys might be thinking, why do you want them to do the chicken dance? And there's actually a reason. So this entire time, Bricks and Minifigs always says the right thing, but then their actions don't match their words at all. So by doing the chicken dance, I'm gonna basically just be giving them another opportunity to do the right thing. I'll move on to the next video series and never talk about Bricks and Minifigs again. Tweet out WeStealFromOldPeople.com, because right now we have 2 new Lego sets for sale that you can buy right now. One of Joshua Johnson and one of Ammon McNeff.
Oh God, they look just like him too. Ammon, he's got that scared, like, oh my God, I'm gonna shit my pants, I'm so scared. And Joshua's got that, like, two-faced look.
We're only making 500 of each, and once all 500 of each sell out, we're never making any more.
That's the way you do it.
You gotta buy them now, because someday they're gonna sell for like $1 million or something.
Probably.
Collectibles.
All right. First of all, I think Ben has got a case that he's gonna win. I think Brian's gonna get his shit. I think this is it. I think this is over because they moved the venue And now I believe it's going to be in a federal courthouse in front of a federal judge and not biased from a little tiny judge from out in Utah somewhere. I don't even know what to say about this. Every time I heard anybody from Bricks and Minifigs even talk about anything, it gave me a headache. And it just kept getting worse. And every time I got this bad headache, I was like, oh my God, I can't even think because these people are idiots. You're running your company into the ground over 200K, even if it's not 200K, even if it's only 100K, probably have done this to other people. I think they probably have by the way they act. They act so callous and uncaring about Brian's plight that they're just like, we're trying to work with them and then turn around and projecting, just projecting and gaslighting the whole time. I hope Ben and Brian nail this company. I hope they own this company afterward. Anyway, if you like this, please like, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. I'm Dethfender. Next video I'm going to do is going to be the warning and then Bandmade. See y'all later. Peace.